And we are live. Tribe Talking on a Tuesday with Miriam and Napo Masheane.
Hey.
Girl, I'm so pressed to have you on here. You know, I just told you what we're going to do, how we're going to run through this thing. But I'm going to go ahead and start and say, I just love you, girl. I knew that I loved you when we met, right? Like I knew that I loved you when we met. We had like an instant connection. We were going to do this thing, me and you for life. But I have been watching you over the course of the last 3 years.
Wow.
And I am just having so much fun watching you just like, you know, it's like a never-ending blossom. That is like, it's dope. It's dope. And
it's dope.
It's dope. And just like knowing that it's not easy.
Definitely. I'm fighting, you know, a lot, but we embracing it. You know, I was reading one of your status that you wrote, I think, during the lockdown, and you're talking about working the garden and how you take out the weeds. It's one of my favorite like readings. It inspires me. So we're constantly doing that.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get into how I met you and how I know you and why I care about you and all that stuff. But I want you to first give us, you know, a very quick 30-second commercial, who you are, what you do, and why you do it. Yeah. And where you at? Because everybody, you know, so they know where you at.
So I'm Napo Masheane, and I am one of the leading South African theater makers, playwright, spoken word artist, creative producer. Recently have been appointed artistic director of one of the longest standing art center in Johannesburg. Born in Soweto, but grew up in Qwaqwa by the mountains, where I hope to take you one day.
Where you will take me one day to the river, remember?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes.
Go.
And we're going to go up the mountain and look at the beautiful view and ride and shout and scream and play and just let everything out.
Yeah.
That's me in 30 seconds, I hope.
Yeah.
But I'm also a sister friend. I'm a mother, you know, a partner. I'm a girlfriend. I am my people's people.
Yes. That's, you know what? That's too true. You are your people's people. And I think that's one of the things that I have enjoyed so much. I felt like I was too bright. That was one of the things I have enjoyed so much about watching you, is not just seeing you, but seeing how many other people are seeing you. Does that make sense? Like how other people embrace you and recognize you and need you and are very clear about that. And I think that speaks to just speaks to the depth of you're amazing, like, you know. But I also want to say your introduction, right?
Mm-hmm.
A thing we can all learn from that introduction is I am a leading artist. I am a you better put your adjectives up there, girl. You better tell us you've done the work. You know what I mean?
I've done the work. I'm like, literally, you cannot count and mention South African theater landscape or spoken word and you don't find my name. And I have to own that. You know, I'm a typical African storyteller. I'm a living, walking book and library. I'm a living library, and I'm happy. That's what I'm saying. I come from my people. I reflect my people, and I am for my people. You know, I don't apologize for that.
Yeah, and you better not. And you better not.
But the world will ask you to always apologize. I don't do that.
Yeah, no. We don't downplay ourselves here. You know what I mean?
But I always I need people like you though, Miriam, to remind me, because you know, we, as much as like we were talking just before we went live, that as much as there's so much amazing light and glow and affirmation, there's also so much that we're fighting. And sometimes, you know what you're fighting is too close or it's too personal, right? And you need sister friends who look and sound and almost in so many ways do what you're doing in another part of the world, to remind you that you're not alone. And I think you're one of those people. And I think that's what made us click. Like we're on a different level. I was like, okay.
Right. I mean,
we together.
Right. Now this wasn't the intro I was going to give, but I was like, I mean, come on, we got our gin in the back of the theater. We're having us a good time. You know what I mean? And the next thing you know, we're on stage doing talkbacks and teaching, and you
And
know.
I'm like, listen, you need to facilitate because this play is hectic. It's about the ex-president. It's about violation. And I can't think of anyone to do this facilitation except you. So you're gonna step on stage. I'm not bowing alone. You're gonna control this. And I remember how you just went.
I was like, yes, ma'am, if this is what we're doing.
The biggest theater in Africa, State Theater, right? And I was the first deputy artistic director, but I was like, I've got an army. I'm not, you know, sometimes people think you stand as one, but actually we stand as many and we come as a whole village, right? And for me, though that moment was a defining moment, I was like, I love her. I like her. And the next thing you ended up in my house.
Oh, I know. We can talk about that. It was a mess. Okay. But anyway, this was a great segue though into how we met. I came there for the Vivasati International. I always say that name. I know I'm butchering the name. I had to learn it before I got there, and then time has passed. But I came there for that festival, the international festival, and I was teaching.
Vivasati International Festival.
Yep.
It was a women's festival, one of the biggest women's festival in South Africa. Then
and it was exciting because I think I was the only international person at the international festival.
Dude, you made it international, so let's not mention such. So when you have a sister who literally crossed the ocean willingly, and really worked hard to be part of it. I was like, this feels like international. Like I'm not just local.
But it was
inter. The only other internationals were the ambassadors who came to watch. But you were literally the only international. Oh my word, yes. So
but it was so much fun. I mean, when I tell you, I look back at that experience not all the time, but often enough that I'm like, God, it was how you have those moments that affirm that you're talented at what you do, right? Like I know that I'm a boss facilitator. I know I'm a great theater maker, and I'm a wonderful instructor, right? I know these things.
Amazing working with young people, like how you infiltrated that whole building. And I remember different, movements and youth organizations that were fighting for you. They wanted a piece of you. I was like, did Jesus just land?
And you brought me here, and you brought me there. You did that. You brought me there, and I was so grateful for that. And I was terrified that I wasn't going to meet you because you were excelling out of that space. You were growing into, you were doing the next big thing. And I was like, I'm not going to get to meet this woman who brought me all the way over here.
I remember.
And so then when I found out that Kwesi, your show, and we're going to talk about that because that is intense to me. When I found out that I was going to be there and I needed a palate cleanser because I saw another show that same day that we can talk. I don't think we ever had this conversation. So we'll talk about that. But I was, when I found out the context of the story, and I want you to tell everyone what the story was about, I almost wasn't sure I was going to be able to see it personally. I wasn't sure I was going to have the capacity to see it because it involved some, not things that I've experienced, thank God, because I've not had, experiences like assault and things like that. I've not had that. But I get really icky in theater spaces when people try to do shows that have those harmful elements in them because they just don't do them right. You know what I mean? They just don't do them well. And something about you made me think, okay, I'm going to trust her and I'm going to go in here and it's going to be well done. And it was beyond. Oh, we lost. Come back. Hey, y'all, who's in the room? While we wait on Napo's signal to come back, somebody say hi to me or say hello to us in the comments. So Napo is coming in from Johannesburg. So she had a little bit of technical difficulty prior to us starting, but I'm going to continue saying what I was going to say. And then when she gets back on, we'll jump back in. Nope, she's already here.
I'm here.
It's
but
fine.
I wanted to tell you that the funny thing is that immediately when you talk about Kwesi, this very same thing that is happening with our connection always goes off. And I think it's the depth of the play. There were so many incidents, remember, about that particular play, that the show will be, on and live, and then the lights will switch off or the sound will go off. So as losing connection, I'm wondering, like, okay.
Right. I remember you telling me about that process. Yes, I remember. So that's why so Kwesi,
Right.
Kwesi was, no, you tell us what Kwesi was about, and I'm going to tell you the moment in the play that changed me and actually amplified my directing skills. So you first give us the breakdown of what Kwesi was about.
Yeah, so Crazy, it's actually a play based on one of our sisters who, a couple of years ago, took to court, to the highest court, and it was one of the biggest cases in South Africa, where the ex-president of South Africa was accused of, sexual violence. So Kwesi was a name given to this woman who had taken up upon herself to reclaim herself that, I grew up in exile. I'm a child of people who liberated South Africa. And the president of this country then, is my uncle, and my father is late. This is the man who went with my father to Robben Island with the Nelson Mandelas, and so Kwesi, and her real name is Fezekile Ntsukela Kuzwayo. And actually, as we are talking, she passed away during this time. So this is also very profound. Right. And she visited the uncle, and the uncle violated her, invaded her, her sense of being. And unlike other people, she opened a case of rape. And one of my amazing friends and alliances published a book called Kwesi, Fezekile Ntsukela Kuza, in commemoration of her story, but also giving her side of the story, because the court justice did not believe her. As a result, the then our then ex-president was acquitted, in terms of the rape case. But all of us, we identified with her, how men in power, men that we regard as our lovers, our uncle, our fathers, men who need to protect us, are often the ones who inflict, sexual and, physical.
She'll come back. So the piece was about, like she said, it was about this woman who had actually pressed charges against the South African president, and was like, because he harmed her, he assaulted her, sexually violated her. And the way that she told the story was so stunning to me, because just like I said before, I am not interested in watching harmful things, triggering things like that on stage, not just because it's hard to watch, but because it's hard to feel people around me getting uncomfortable or moving through spaces, right? And so I have a tendency to feel the people around me a bit too much. But I will say in this, and as a playbacker, this was really important to me, because it was the way that you used fabric, and we use fabric in all of our work, right? Or we use fabric to create environment. And so what happened was, in this scene, instead of having this man, reenact an assault, this like actual assault, she took a red fabric, and on one side was him, and on one side was the principal actress. And they rolled themselves throughout the course of what was supposed to be the simulation of the assault in this fabric, like just kind of until they got to a place where they met inside of the fabric. And that was it. That was the scene. And you got every single thing that you needed to get from it. Like you knew that an assault had taken place. You knew that the young lady was speaking for herself and trying to stand in for her, trying to say no and those things. And you knew that her trust in that moment had been broken. But it wasn't because she tried and she, to shock us as an audience and show us, these two people fighting or whatever. It was so beautifully done with this long piece of red fabric. And, with the color red, it's like it's power, it's fire, it's passion, it's blood, it's pain, it's all of those things. And it literally is the perfect color to describe something like an assault, because all of those things go into it, right? Like it's that the power struggle, the breaking of the trust, the breaking of the love, all of those things. And so that was something that really stuck with me, because in my own work, in my own forms, I use fabrics quite often. And so this was a technique offering for me. And I was just so impressed by it. Adding another level to it, I was also teaching at TUT. Remember, I was teaching at, right. So I was teaching at TUT. Yep, at the same time with their third year students. And the young women in that class, we had a whole discussion, because one girl was like, oh yeah, the last time I was raped. And I was like,
I remember.
And I was like, wait, and I had to stop, and everybody was like, oh yeah, well, when it happened to me, oh, well, when it happened to me. And I was like, wait. And I had to stop them and define the term rape, to make sure that we were having the same conversation. Like, are you saying this happened to you in this way, or these and they were like, oh yeah. And it was just so like
the culture of normalizing trauma, violation, and just how we are being taught as young Black girls not to hold and stop and pause within this trauma, and to, but also just we name it like it's a norm. It's like, oh yeah, I fell in love and I got dumped. No. But that's the horror of it. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons why I had to do that particular play, because and remember, I even said it, say her name, and I scratched or put a line across her and say my name, because I felt like we are not saying our names. And often the court justice, it's not for us, right? Because also legally, you people are writing your case, you're dealing with the police in whole field in my country as well. Sometimes really they don't have empathy. The victim becomes the victimized, and so you almost get raped physically, but also you get raped by the system itself, and then get raped by the legal system that needs to protect you. So hence a lot of people don't talk about sexual violence and rape, and oftentimes 90% is people that we know. I mean, Miriam, South Africa is classified the kingdom of femicide.
That's what I had not heard that term until I heard you say it, and I was like, femicide. Ooh, that is a scary. I mean, and it put things into context, because even when I was staying in Pretoria, I remember one time I was going to leave the hotel, and it was late. It was late at night, because I wanted to go get like I don't know, I can't remember what it was, like a smoke or something, whatever it was, whatever took me out the house, right?
When I wouldn't have allowed you, but
right.
You being you.
And the security, oh my God, the security guard, he was like, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I'm just going up I'm just going to walk to the store. And he was like, no, you're not. I was like, and I'm being all, what you mean I can't go to the store? I'm going to go to the store.
Liberated woman. Like, liberated woman, you're not going to be.
Yeah, he was like, if you don't take yourself back upstairs.
Like, you're in a different country. What are you doing?
It was like, tell me what you need and I will go get it. And he looked so disappointed in me for like even trying. Like, ain't nobody talk to you about where you at? And like, I feel like
you know where you are. The papers. Are you not? And mind you, I could even imagine, because I don't know how many people also spoke to you in Sepedi, Sotho, Zulu, local language, right? So people the first thing also is like they see one of their own. So it doesn't even hit them that you're not from, South Africa, let alone Pretoria. It's like, girl, who's your mom and dad?
Right. Who raised you?
Outside this time of the night. Who's your sister? Look at the headlines, and it's like, no.
And look, and I got some attitude fire under here, because I was like, I done put my clothes on. I'm ready to walk up to you. You got me messed up. He was just like, and he was not trying to hear it. He's like, and I'm so grateful, because then I started that's when I started finding out all the stuff that was going on. I was like, oh, he might have saved my life. Like he might have, you know,
did,
like
because I would have been called and we would be looking for you and
yeah.
all this. So there's just a position of this beautiful, amazing, vibrant cultural, country, but also the level of violence and trauma and pain and all the layers. I think the best thing for me is just to say all the layers of trauma that our generation is dealing with, and it's something that somehow, I don't know, has become part of what we inherit. And I think our responsibility is to change it and try to navigate it. And I suppose as theater makers, myself as a storyteller, as a poet, hence I write the kind of works that I write.
Right. Your body of work is
exactly to reflect to the society that this is who you are. If the first citizen of the country can rape somebody that is almost like their niece, who am I? Who is not of any connection or high caliber kind of like family, you know what I mean? So it's
and the other thing, is, your job, our job, right, is to, as artists, especially as writing artists and collecting, story collecting artists, is to memorialize these experiences for people, right? So like, it's phenomenal that you put a story like Qwaqwa on stage, not just because it was well done and not just because it was, a good story, but because it reminded us that there was a time when something like this could happen. Someone could be treated like this. Someone could be almost exiled. Someone could go through all of these different things just because they said, I'm not going to allow you to hurt me and nobody know about it, right? And that's like a huge, that's important to 20 years from now, when someone needs context for why this conversation has gone on so long, or for what these laws need, why these laws need to be changed, or, all of these different things. This provides a bit of like
a point of reference,
damn near qualitative data. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause it's all researchable, right?
And the thing is that all these stories, Miriam, also, one of the young journalists a couple of weeks ago asked me, like, why do you write stories or plays that you write or poems that you write? And I said, these stories, they choose us. And that's the thing, when you're a custodian of, when you are a storyteller, when you are a vessel of, when things come to you, they come to you even if they are part of your nightmare. Right. And the only way for you to dream yourself out of these nightmares for us is to almost to puke them out. You have to write about it. You have to stay and share, the trauma, the nightmare. You have to even put images of the nightmare so that, everybody can. So almost for me, it's a very spiritual thing. I mean, even with Qwaqwa, I had to ask her, I had to do a whole African rituals,
you had to get permission.
Yeah, remember, because
I remember
one of my friends who is, who can see, you literally called me without knowing I'm doing this play and said that, hey, Fezekile is asking me to ask you, why are you doing this? And you haven't asked for her permission. And I had to go all the way to the ocean, to the coast side, ask for her permission. And I remember moving out of that spot with her and myself, having connected from a spiritual realm. And I remember coming back to Joburg, to the State Theatre, and saying, it's no longer I telling this story. We are all telling this story. And that's the lesson and the connection between me and Qwaqwa. And I mean, in this regard, Fezekile, when she said, not you, it's not I, it's we. I need you as you know what I mean? And we need each other, because you're the vessel and I have departed. So we need this kind of connection for you to tell my story. But also you need my protection and guidance. And mind you, like we've just experienced now, I had to change my phone devices because this is a number that people don't know. The other one, the minute that happens, funny things happen with my connection. It's things that I cannot talk about without a distraction of some sort.
And it's because, did you ask permission? Look, did you get permission? You know what I'm saying? And I say this to everybody watching. This is not specific to Napo, right? Like this is not a thing that only she had to do. When you are paying homage, when you're retelling somebody's story, when you're sharing someone's experience, permission comes in a lot of different forms, right? It comes in doing your due diligence and making sure that the information you're putting out is true. It means not twisting someone's actual story to fit the context of whatever point you're trying to make. It's, it's honoring, it's actually honoring. And then if that person is still capable of vocally, audibly, in strong mind and heart saying, yes, you are the person I want to have this conversation about me, you got to get that yes. You don't get to just decide, I'm going to do it.
No, you don't.
You don't get to just make that decision. And if they got a niece, if they got a daughter or a son, somebody...
You need to get that connection, because it's almost like that you can't distort the spirit, like you can't distort the truth. And oftentimes we think that by asking permission, it's like, somebody's gonna control. By asking permission is by you embodying yourself. Well, in my African context, embodying yourself with protection and guidance to say, when I'm weak, when I don't know what to do, may the spirit above, below, in front, beside me and all around me carry me. And there were those days like that with Kwezi and so many of my shows where I was like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I should do this. But because I wasn't about it was about we. And that's the context of, being part of I am because you are because I am, whether the living or the going or the, the coming, or, that's us as Africans. That's something that we have that no history or history in the whole flipping world can take away from us. We are spirit people.
I agree. You right, girl. You're right. I'm like, yes, we are spirit people. True. You know what I mean? That's why folks will sit back and be like, why does all this stuff keep happening to her? Why does good stuff keep Maybe you're talking too much.
Yeah.
Maybe you're speaking out of turn. Maybe you're lying. I had a conversation with a young lady about 2 weeks ago. And she was like, I've been praying to the ancestors and I've been doing this and I've been doing that. And I was just kind of looking, I'm not going to say she wasn't. She might be doing it. I don't know. But it was like the constant turmoil and distress and struggle with no reprieve ever kind of was her, all you see. And I was like, maybe you ain't doing this right. Maybe you're not being honest with yourself in the way that you are engaging spirit, the idea of energy and spirit, because that matters too. It's not a thing where you can just go online and somebody, gives you like a formula for how to touch the divine. It's an actual over time, long-standing relationship that is constantly being cultivated in the way that you speak to people, in the way that you treat people, in the way that you treat the earth, in the way that all of those different things that go into how spirit moves within us. And I think that sometimes we try to go the quick route. I'm gonna burn a candle real quick. This candle gonna fix everything.
But you're not connecting with the candle, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Spirit sees. One of the things that my paternal grandmother taught me in my context was that I cannot connect with the ancestors speaking English, right? So I have to speak my mother tongue, which is Soweto. And my grandmother, raised me, in prayer, in spirit, and how, that I'm actually, that's part of my name, that I am the head of the ancestors. That's what Napo means, right? And the whole ritualistic thing, that how my name came through a dream and how it was part of our totems and clan names and. But my grandmother always said that you need no church because you yourself are a church. But the only thing you need to understand is that you cannot pray to your ancestors or have a conversation with your ancestors in English because they don't speak that language. So when you kneel down and light a candle, when you put a sage, we call it impepo here, or when you connecting with whatever spirit, when you're meditating and you are praying and however playing music or in your writing, my grandmother say that don't forget your mother tongue, because your ancestors will immediately hear you and connect with you when you speak the language of your mother that you sucked from her breast. So for me, is that with all this education that I have, with all this world acclaim, whatever thing, one thing I don't compromise when I pray, and I pray in my mother tongue, there's something that shifts inside me, and I know that I'm within a specific realm. You know,
and that they understand you,
and they understand me.
You know, I think that's all. This wasn't where this conversation I thought was going to go, but you know what? But you know how we do. But my thing is, even for me, right, right, I'm learning so much about my history, where my people come from, the land we've owned. I mean, just happening to show up in a place, and then I find out, you know, months later that land used to be either my family's land or something, you know, like just things, you know. And I recognize, like, the more I meet my elders and the more I find out where they came from, the stronger my relationship is with the divine, with God, and with the angels that he sent for me, and the ancestors that he allows to protect, that the divine allows to protect me, because that's how, you know, even with the bulk of my family being, you know, ministers and deaconesses and this and that, and like hardcore, hard body Christians, right? I appreciate that I have access to that language, because it meant so much to them, right? But I also recognize Black people in America for a really long time did not have access to education. So while we're out here, you know,
their education,
right, their education. So what
quality, their origin, and that's what. So we, for longest time in South Africa, were robbed of that. You had to, you know, many were taken out of the continent, but even for us who are in the continent to this day, we are still constantly being segregated and navigated and trying to negotiate. And it's so amazing how you brought up the element of land, because land, that's something that as African we have a relationship with. We have a strong relationship with land, because that's where our roots are. That's where all the air, the fire, you know, the sky, the water, we are all part of this. That's how our calendar is made. That's how our astrology is made. That's how we communicate. Hence, it's called Mother Earth. But that's who we are, right? So you have to take us and keep moving us, keep taking it from us. So that we lose a sense of balance, and our family rooted and very, very aligned, right? Because we don't like, as a result, our artistic work as well, then splitted around. But for us who remember and find and are blessed, Miriam, is that our artistic work, we are rewriting his and her story. And I think that's the biggest blessing, and a curse that you will be muted and censored and silenced and fought by even your own. But on the other hand, you know that you need to dream your people and yourself out of that nightmare. So it's a blessing, it's a light that's not going to be hidden under the table. You know, it's a glory that everybody fears, and you intimidate, and people feel insecure around you. People can handle your greatness and your energy. I mean, you know, me and you, we can go on and on and on. These are my daily struggles that, you know, you even fight when you are not part of the battlefield.
Oh, yeah. You know, and I'll say, yes. And I'll say, sometimes I get, you know, it's like, it's a surprise. Like I'll get a phone call and somebody will say, what happened with such and such and this and this and that? And I'm like, I don't know what happened. And then they're like, well, they said you did. And I'm like, me? I mean, like, I'm like, I don't even know where this place is that I was supposedly at that did the thing that did, like, you know, to put me in this situation. I don't understand. And then when I think about the larger picture of it, it's like, it's not about one. I get so excited at how quickly those things get squashed on my behalf without me having to do really any work. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the minute it comes up, it's like, somebody somewhere. It's like like they just walking around with fly swatters, just like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, leave her alone. But when they come up, it's jarring, right? Because it's like, then because I'm the type of person that questions myself a lot. So it's like, well, did I do that? Did I deserve that? Did I earn that? Was that something that I put myself, did I leave myself open for this? Am I vulnerable in a way? Did I not pray hard enough to protect myself in this? Da, 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 da. But then I realized, no, I'm actually doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
And that's the problem with that.
And folks don't like that.
And people don't like it. And people have sometimes it's people who are the closest to you. But what you literally I almost teared up because you just said, literally, like we because you are in the midst of this and we do a lot of self-introspection and reflections and interrogating and holding ourselves accountable. I just appreciate the fact that you reminded me that while we are in that moment, there are the very forces that have appointed us and chose us take care of even the kind of battles and wars and fights that we have no idea that they were coming our way. And I thank you for that, because I needed to hear that today,
Yeah. It's not just you. It's not just you. And that's okay. But again, I would say also remember the part about how it gets taken care of for us, right? Like we don't have to sit and and even when it doesn't end in a way that's like totally comfortable, it's still exactly what we needed it to do, So I would say, yeah, I relate to you on that. And I'm glad that we had this moment just now, because I also needed a little bit of affirmation that I ain't out here tripping.
Now you go ahead, man, make me cry.
Look, we out here. Look. Don't do this. Look, we can't do this today. Good job today. I
love you, but you know how you always do that.
Look, I wore yellow today. We're supposed to be bright as the sun today, girl, because we'll get into this.
As always, make me laugh.
We some crybaby thugs out here. I think people would be so surprised at how much we be crying and tugging and whimpering and whining with us out here. You ain't gonna tell me nothing, and I'm be at home.
Right? As I walked in my house, like, bring it on. But I'm like, oh my God. Because I just got reminded that I don't have to fight alone.
And we don't, and I appreciate you because, it's easy. I was telling a good friend yesterday, he asked, I was asked the question, what does friendship mean to me? Right. And, having to pause and think about that. Right. Especially, especially when, what I find as artists, right, we end up in these situations where we call people friends because we do the same thing, right? Like we're in theater. So because she's in theater and I'm in theater and we might end up in the same ensemble at some point. That's my friend, right? But we all know that ain't how it really works. Like, because a lot of times those be the ones that we got, that they're swatting with the fly or swat, right? But what I've learned is that the most precious friendships, and almost all of my friendships have been here, and from every phase of my life. If it ain't my girls from youth, from my time in New York. I mean, Lindsay is in the chat right now commenting, and this is one of my best friends from when I was my time in New York. Like everybody has their space, and they live in that space, and they're not going anywhere because they're actively my friend, which means they're praying for me without me knowing it, which means they're loving me through things just by looking at me and saying I'm proud of her without, they don't even have to tell me. I just know that it's happening.
They are celebrating your achievements, and when your light shines brighter, when you are there within your follow spot, they are behind the curtains, behind the stage, making sure and blocking anyone who wants to see that light. And I think for me, Miriam, those are the kind of friends that I choose to be my friends, knowingly or unknowingly, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, like friends who play a different role. They're friends that I grew up with. We don't talk every day. They're not in the part of my industry. Half of them, they hate watching theater or TV.
They don't
Most of
even.
them haven't even been to theater because they think we're all doing crazy stuff. Some, when I appear on TV, I get paid for every interview. They probably are watching and thinking I'm getting so much huge amounts of dollars for this. They're not thinking that two sisters across the ocean are connecting and having a conversation, right?
Right.
And then I feel like, I saw you on social media, you were trending. How much did you get? You must be so rich. So when I'm asking for guest money, they're like, how can you ask for guest money when you've just been part of something that was trending, or you were on TV commenting?
Right. Well, let me say this. Let me say this for anybody who want to act like they not gonna give to her the guest money. Look, all we just did was we just made one of our phone calls, one of our WhatsApp calls public for y'all. That's all this is. I don't want you thinking that I had to dig in my bag, even though she's worth every penny and I would give it to her. We decided today was the day we were gonna let y'all into the stuff we talk about behind y'all back, and it ain't got nothing to do with y'all. Okay, give her the money.
Record straight. But
my point was like, my point was like, we met, we became friends. We are like, you're my boo. I love you, and I look out for your kid. I follow the baby online. Every picture.
And you are there as an aunt, busy there chatting, and he's queer, and he comes like, Auntie Miriam does check up on me, and
I do
celebrates my pictures. So every time I comment negatively, I'm like, boy, isn't that my lip liner? Isn't that my, my jacket? Isn't that my? Are those not my sunglasses? And he's like, well,
I'm in his inbox like, excuse you, what's going on? How you doing? They treating you all right? What you need to do? That language don't make no sense to me. I'm all up in his stuff, and I know. And then you contact me. How's my nephew? What's going on? It's.
But I love those relationships, and that's what it is, because you built that the last time you were in South Africa with him, and there was such an amazing connection. And I look at Josh, and I was like, oh my God, I'm missing out. These people, these little things are growing up too fast. What's going on? Like, am I missing time? I'm like,
and I told you so. I say, look, I know you're a child of access, especially when it comes to human capital. Don't you be out here talking about, well, I'm just gonna go to South. I can go to South Africa. My mama got a sister out there, and I can go.
Has a bedroom, has a space, and just gonna go wild in things and not even think about, well, do you understand where all these things, how do they come about? How this relationship, how deep it is? But that's the beauty of sisterhood.
But that's the beauty, exactly. That's the beauty of it. And I think that one of the things I really want to put out there from this conversation, right, is a few things. There are so many intersections for our experiences as Black women, regardless of how far away from each other we are, which is why we were able to connect in the way that we did. We were just relating. It was like, oh, I'm going through the same thing. Oh, well, I know the same, and I do the same. It was very much like that, and how important it is. And how important, exactly, and how important it is for us, especially us, to continuously feed relationships like this. Like, there are times you go quiet, and I'm like, that's fine, because I know she got stuff going on. So, and there are times where I go quiet, and it's always that random little message from like, hey, Choma. How do you say my Choma? Hey, Choma, my Choma. And I'm like, checking in.
I need you to come talk. I can't do it alone. There's another women's festival. Siriti Sabasadi.
Oh, that's right. I'm going to be in a new festival.
Choma, you're part of Siriti Sabasadi, along other women from Jamaica, from UK, from Sweden, from Nigeria, from Ghana. Listen, this army of sisterhood cannot happen without you being part of it. And you don't even ask, like, Choma, what are we going to talk about? I was like, just come talk. I just need you to come be part of it.
Yeah, you tell me to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. Say what?
And then I'm so happy that literally, and then everybody's like, who's this? It's like, it's my sister. I'm like,
look. And you'll know, and look, and they'll know who I am when I leave.
Oh, and this is just another, a step inside to say, as soon as things get back to normal, well, she's gonna come here because she can handle all these young people at the center. Because there are things that not navigate and understand. I know if Miriam was here, she was gonna know exactly what's going on because I can't deal. It's too much for me.
I want you in New Orleans. I want you to come so bad. I mean, we tried the tribe test thing didn't work. I was so excited.
And I've got a visa. Like, remember it was a visa thing. Then I got the visa, and the next thing is like flipping lockdown. I'm like, well, what's happening?
I know. But it's gonna happen. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen, and it'll be gorgeous.
Amazingly.
It'll happen when it's supposed to happen, and it'll be gorgeous, and I'm excited about it. Okay, so before I always like to play little games. So we got a little heavy. Oh, first, my mommy is in the chat. She's saying hello. Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom. She hasn't been online in a while, so she must have really wanted to see this one. She popped in for us, so that's exciting. So we're going to play. I don't have a name for this game yet. But I'm just gonna ask you some random questions.
Okay.
Some
riddles. I hope it's not riddles, but just some questions. Yeah.
No. I'm not. I'm not gonna ask you to do something I can't do. I don't do riddles. Riddles are hard for me.
Throw.
Speak to me in straight lines. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, question number 1.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to describe your perfect day, what would it be?
Oh, my word. Sleeping. I know it's crazy. Sleeping and sleeping peacefully after having a glass of gin and tonic.
Girl, that gin.
The world don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The world don't matter. I can deal with my nightmares across that sleep. Gin and tonic and a with no distraction. No 8-year-old or 19-year-old knocking on my door. Or somebody asking for a booty. Like, I'm just saying.
Somebody needing you to get domestic real quick.
Sleep after a nice gin and tonic. That's me. No distraction. I'll wake up when I wake up. The world has to wait and pause.
You know why you don't need nothing? I don't need no time at the pool. I don't need to see the wind blow. Bed. I wish I didn't relate so hard. I'm telling you, my sleep cycle, I don't understand. All right. Question number 2. I think. Question number 2. If you could change anything about the way that you were raised, what would you change?
The silence in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a tricky question because the silence is what made me speak loud. Mm-hmm. Men in my family, they take their own lives silently. And I feel like there was a language of how to deal with trauma, pain, in not so silent way. So much damage would have been, peace and love and right. Silence is haunting.
Yeah.
It ups things, it hides things, it keeps secrets, and yet it creates it thinks that it's saving, but actually it creates pain and trauma. But the very same silence is what made me become a writer.
Yeah.
Speak. So it's
I got more questions, but I think the questions I have are personal around that. So I'll talk. But I want to remember. I want you to remember that I have questions about that because I'm going to ask you later. Cool. Make 3 true we statements.
Make 3.
Yes, make 3 true we statements for me and you. So we are the we. In the spirit of the future. So like things that we will definitely be doing or things we whatever.
Baby, go.
Only three.
I know. We're going to rewrite history so that it can accommodate her story. We are going to constantly touch our own through our artistic, gifts. We are going to raise different breed of Black man and reach out to amazing, amazing sister women.
I receive all of that. I receive it. Give me all of it.
On the week, I just missed you. Black magic away.
Oh. All right. Yes. Okay. This. What is your most embarrassing theater moment?
When I choked on stage and I couldn't cough because I had to pretend like I'm the best singer ever. And I had to literally use every technique that I was taught that didn't exist in every book, not to embarrass myself. And I literally had to squeeze my voice. Number one. Number two, I had a boob tube and it fell off and my bra was out. But lucky enough, it was in front of all the sisters. Yeah, but that choking on stage, that was happy. I will never, and it was my first big production, so I will never forget that. I even have a picture for it. Like I was like,
Your tongue. If you take your tongue, the tip of your tongue, if you start to choke or cough or hiccup or like anything that's going to cause noise, if you take the tip of your tongue and put it at the top of your mouth, the roof of your mouth towards the back, and just hold it there, and you can do it without moving your mouth. So it'll quench whatever that is.
Wow. Got it.
No matter what, anytime and it doesn't take it but just a second. Free game, y'all, just in case y'all needed that. Tip of the tongue, back of the roof of your mouth. I teach speakers how to speak, fam.
Come on, baby.
All right. I want you to tell us about your latest piece. My Vagina Was Not Buried with Him.
So My Vagina Was Not Buried with Him. It's a story based on my childhood friend who is the queen, who got married to the late king of Basotho, next to Kapathing, the cousins of the bigger kingdom. And for 10 years, when they were married, she wasn't able to conceive, and she was called barren. And then the husband passed away and she was called a widow. And then 2 years later, she, rekindled an old flame and had a baby. And she was called a B word. And during her baby shower, she was like, those three names, barren, widow, B word, are the worst names that any, queen can be called, or, a Black woman can be called. And it's amazing how culturally all of them are connected to something that is between your thighs. And I remember one of my friends saying, well, now that you've rekindled an old love and now you have a child, clearly the problem was not you. But also, your in-laws, they must tell us if your vagina was buried with him so that we can go dig it up. And I was just like, oh my God, her vagina. My vagina was not buried with him. Right. And because South Africa and Africa has a lot of high cases of femicide, child marriages, teenage pregnancies, you name it. Right. There's just something that's sitting between our legs as women and between our thighs that we don't have control over. Culturally, traditionally, politically, systematically. Again, it connects to Kwezi on all the works I'm doing with the fact that also South Africa is kingdom of femicide. A lot of young women and old women and girls are violated daily, and raped. So for me, just think that a queen on stage is going on this journey through, a call by all the victims of gender-based violence, and they're asking her to spread the gospel and to let the young girls and women and aunts and grandmothers who are alive that your vagina is yours. You have to reclaim it. You have to own it. It is yours. So the queen starts at the graveside, digging up the grave and say, bring my vagina. I want it if it's there with you. And she was like, okay, it's not there with you. And then all the spirits of the women who have died, who have made hashtag me too, hashtag am I next, they raise up and they say, listen, we are gone, but you are alive. So you need to carry it on like a real queen, like a real queen mother, and, you know, advocate for us.
Yeah.
So that's the whole piece in essence. And on stage, we've been campaign of bras, again trying to make the women who are not like you and me, who are not performers, who can speak out, who are victims still, you know, who are standing in solidarity with those who've lost their lives, but also those who are not yet able to articulate or name the violence, to donate their bras. So on stage, I'm performing alone, but with me, I've got more than 3,000 bras that are part of the set. They are chandeliers, they are curtains, they are an end hill of bras. And those are silent voices that are not at the privilege of what you and I have, which is performance, which is the stage, which is the light, which is the platform.
I want my bra up there.
You better send it. Or I might as well better come pick it up.
Want my bra up there. Look. If it'll fit, I want my bra up there. Wait a minute, because how long have you been working on this piece? Because I remember you telling me about your best friend, and I remember the first part about her having difficulty conceiving.
Well, remember that part, yeah.
Yeah. And so in the last 3 years or 4 years,
then the husband passed away, and then she fell pregnant. That was the whole part of it. So when I was going to take you to the mountains to Qwaqwa,
yeah,
be part of the women that, you know, girlfriends that we're going to hang around with. And, you know, so her story really moved me, but it speaks a lot to how culture and tradition constantly suppress women. And what you're suppressing is not just the voices of women or their presence. It's because people want ownership.
I'm so glad you got to do that. You were praying so hard for her.
Mm-hmm. And she came to watch live show. It was premiered digitally at Toronto International Festival of Authors, but then she came to watch the live streaming of it at Joburg Theatre and Soweto Theatre, you know, and she cried, but she was crying in the joy of she can't be on stage, but she saw her life and how she was being affirmed. And I think all those bras of other women, she knew that she's not alone, you know, and that, oh my God, you know, my story has inspired others to donate, to give, to share. But more than anything, my friend as an artist, as a playwright, as a performer, you know, managed to somehow pack it in such a way that people can access and hear what I have not been able to share.
You got permission.
I got permission. I had to do a disclaimer, baby girl. Trauma. I had to do a disclaimer. There was no way. As I was developing the script, as I was writing it, I was just like, I asked, this is what chose me through your story and inspired me. Please grant me permission. And she gave me her blessing.
I love it. I love it. All right. We're winding down on time. Everyone keeps saying an hour isn't long enough, and they're probably right. But I also feel like we just be having stuff we got to do. I know you got calls when you get off of here, and vice versa, right? So I want to talk about we will see each other again. When will we see each other again? When is the you're producing?
Which means shadow of another sister. So we're shadowing each other across the world. It's next week on Friday, where we're going to have conversation with other sister women and sister friends across the globe online. Actually during this time, and talking about writing from, writing evolutions, writing from the womb, writing afresh, reimagining ourselves, and really contributing to her story. So the world, especially in this case, South Africa, is going to get to know who Miriam is, what is she doing, and what makes her so connected to other women. But also, there's an army of other women who are like you and me, running festivals, running conferences, webinars. So it's also a networking session for all of us. So so that at some point with this new norm, you are able to go to Nigeria, you're going to Ghana, you're going to Sweden, wherever we, and I can come, back to the States, and just all of us just creating this support structure of sisterhood. So next week time, we're going to be streaming live on my.
Now, I have one more question. I know we're almost at time, but I have one more question. What made you go back into institution? Because you had left the institution.
I think there's so much power that one has and control within the management and administrative side. And I think with the lockdown and a lot of artists losing work, I needed to bring this spark back, a sense of hope, and try to open up the industry. And the only way you could do that sometimes when you are aligned and you are part of an institution. And in my case, it's Qwaqwa Art Center, which really trains young people, give them a sense of reflections like you and me, that it's possible, even amidst this new pandemic, it's possible for you to travel the world using your art digitally, physically, through any other form. So for me, I can only fully do it beyond the shows that I do within the management and directorship of finding money, finding networks, identifying connections, making the links, and making young people to have access to Miriam that they wouldn't have if they just came to watch my show and they left. And preservation of the legacy, and also shifting the South African landscape. It needs, and it needs people like you and me across the world for you to change it in your country, in your city, within your community. It needs us in those decision-making spaces constantly, and we can't give up on that.
Yeah. Can you tell everyone how to find you if they want to follow your work, if they want to stay connected? How can they do that?
So the good thing is that I'm Googleable.
I was hoping you would go there. Google me.
I'm so Googleable. It's not a joke.
I was hoping you would do it. All you gotta do is type it in the search bar, though.
Napo Masheane. You're gonna see all the streams of my things. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. At Popo Masheane or Masheane Popo. But if you Google, you shall find me.
You shall find. Don't no other name pop up. I mean, don't no other face pop up. I can tell you that.
No other name but Napo Masheane. And of course, for those who want to get to know our organization, institutions, especially for the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing going forward, it's info@cbqua.co.za. And I think if they are not sure about the spelling, again, when they Google my name, they will see all the different articles and they'll be able to reach me where I am. Yeah. And other than that, they must follow you to follow me.
Yes.
Yes.
I send you people all the time. I'm like, go look at her, go follow her. You need to go see her. Okay, Masheane. I said Masheane, and I've been saying Masheane for 4 years.
So, but now you just said
Masheane. I've been saying it wrong for 4 years, 5 years. I'm sorry. You never corrected me, or I've never said it to you. But I've never had to say it to you.
But your way of, how with instead of saying Napo, they say Popo. I'm like, so that's how she calls me,
Yeah. But and it's the same thing when I was. Excuse me. When I was in, thank you, baby. When I was in Senegal, Joel, who's on here, or he's somewhere, he'll watch this. I was calling him Diol. And he was like, that's not, and he never corrected me. And when I tell you, was responding to me like from across the beach, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody was like, what did you call him? And I was like, Diol. He was like, his name is Muhammadu. And I was like, and it's Joel. And I was like, wait, what? He was like, yeah. He was like, Joel is his last name. His first name is Muhammad. And I was like,
for me, it was.
Why you ain't tell me I've been saying your name?
With me, it's because my mom is Miriam. So I was like,
yeah.
Wait,
what did you just say?
Yes. My mom's name is the same name as you. So it's like,
you never told me that. I would have remembered that. I would hold that over you.
I was just like, how can I even forget? I can't forget.
Yeah. I would have held that over you. I'd have been like, remember.
Oh, no. If Mama is still here, Mama, please take care and watch out for your child and tell your child that she's not my mama. Dude.
Right. Don't. Could you please make sure she doesn't get it messed up? Because we're not playing that today. No. I would have just been like, just so you, I mean, honor me. No, I'm just, honor me.
No. And but you're not even when you can't be demanding things and say, I'm your mama. You cannot.
Right.
So many witnesses.
Oh, I can't wait to come back to your house. Can I get my drink? Can I get my fresh squeezed?
You can.
I can't. Where's baby soldier? Is he in school?
He's there behaving because Mom and Aunt Miriam are having a conversation. It's a very deep, serious conversation.
Bye. I love you so much. I can't wait to see you next week. And keep loving me. Okay? I'm going to keep loving you. And just like I said before, I am, I'm just ecstatic. I just love that I met you as a professional who was killing the game, and that every time I see you, you are getting better and stronger and smarter. And even in ways I did not think were actually possible. Like I thought you had you had created the ceiling and you decided, fuck that.
Yeah.
Let's do another one. So I'm just really constantly enamored by your awesome. Okay. So I can't wait to see you next week. Thank you guys for tapping in. Share this video. Let people know what we were talking about. Google. I'm Googleable. She's a Googleable. And comment. Let us know how you feel. And if you have any questions for her that weren't asked, put them in the chat, in the comments. Do a simple @ and I'm sure she'll figure out at some point how to come back and give you guys some answers. All right.
Love
Bye,
you.
baby. Bye, baby. Bye.